I wrote Still Waiting at the Door during one of the hardest moments in my life.
Life was hard, but I didn't mind. I had a wife and a son, and I lived for them.
No word from you, no letter came. I'm still waiting at the door.
Every once in a while, a story comes along that touches something deep inside of us. A story that speaks to pain, to hope, to the part of the human spirit that refuses to give up. In May of 2025, the world met a man named Ernesto, a 54-year-old carpenter with kind eyes, a quiet posture, and a voice that seemed shaped by a lifetime of heartbreak.
Hi, I'm Ernesto. I'm the man behind the song Still Waiting at the Door.
Millions of people cried watching him sing. Millions felt his sorrow, his courage, his heart. But here's the twist. Ernesto never existed. And yet, somehow, he still changed people. This is the story of Ernesto, the viral America's Got Talent contestant created entirely by AI. And what he reveals about the human heart, the digital age, and the stories we choose to believe. The first time we saw him, the video begins simply. A man walks onto a stage, holding a microphone with a worn, almost hesitant grip. His shoulders are slightly hunched as though carrying the weight of decades. The judges greet him warmly, and he introduces himself. My name is Ernesto. I'm 54. I'm a carpenter. There's something about the way he says it. Soft, humble, almost apologetic. As if he believes his story isn't worth telling. But he begins to tell it anyway. He talks about hard years. About losing his parents early. About working long hours with rough hands and little rest. About sleeping in his truck. About losing his wife not to death, but to life. Dreams that didn't work. Promises he couldn't keep. He talks about his children, and how he tried to build a world for them. A world that somehow slipped out of his grasp. And then, with a breath that feels like a prayer, he says he came to AGT to sing a song called Still Waiting at the Door.
Still waiting, still the same.
A song, he says, about regret, about visiting the home of someone you love, and finding the door forever closed. Even before he sings, you feel something. Not just sympathy connection, because everyone knows what it's like. To lose someone, to fail at something, to wish for one more chance. Every heart carries its own closed door. And then Ernesto begins to sing. The voice that made the world cry. His voice is soft at first, fragile, trembling. It sounds like it's cracking under the weight of memories. And then it rises, suddenly strong, warm, steady. Like a man who's been holding emotions inside for too long. The camera cuts to the judges. One wipes a tear. Another puts a hand on their chest. The audience is silent, then emotional, then uplifted. Every line of the song feels like a confession. Every note feels like an apology. Every breath feels like a goodbye that came too late. By the final verse, Ernesto closes his eyes, as if afraid to face the world, with all the honesty he's letting out.
Just silent tears for you, my son.
When he finishes, there is silence, followed by applause that feels like thunder. He looks overwhelmed, almost shocked that people are cheering for him. For a moment, just a moment, people believed they were witnessing a man. Healing in real time. Healing through music. Healing through courage. Healing through being seen. And in a world where so many feel invisible, that moment struck something deep. The truth behind the moment. There was just one problem. None of this happened. Not the performance. Not the judges. Not the audience. Not the man named Ernesto. The story was fictional. The performance was digitally created. The man was synthetic. A project by creators using AI tools, deep-fake models, voice synthesis, and digital compositing. Every tear, every camera angle, every trembling note, constructed. Every wrinkle on his face, every shadow under his eyes, every quiver in his voice, fabricated. Even Still Waiting at the Door was an AI-written song. And yet, the emotions people felt were real. Millions cried. Millions shared it with friends. Millions wrote comments about their own lives, their own regrets, their own closed doors, their own longing for second chances. People weren't responding to a person. They were responding to a feeling. And in a way, that's the most human thing possible. Why we believed. Why did so many believe Ernesto's story? Why did we accept him so quickly, so naturally, so emotionally? The answer says more about us than it does about technology. 1. Because his story felt familiar. We've all met someone like him. A quiet man, a hard-working father, a life filled with struggle and gentle dreams. He represented the millions of people who work in silence and break quietly. 2. Because struggle is relatable. Pain is universal. Loss is universal. Regret is universal. We saw our own scars in his. 3. Because we want to believe in second chances. Watching someone who has suffered get a moment of light reminds us that maybe we can too. 4. Because humans are wired to connect to stories, even fictional ones, even digital ones. Stories shape us more deeply than facts ever could. 5. Because the line between reality and emotion is thin.
Come back home, don't let me go.
The paradox of truth. There's a strange, beautiful paradox at the heart of Ernesto's story. He wasn't real, but the feelings he created were. And this raises a powerful question. Can something unreal still reveal something true? When someone cried at Ernesto's performance, they weren't crying for him. They were crying for themselves, for their own memories, their own losses, their own unspoken words. Ernesto became a mirror, a digital reflection of the parts of us we rarely show the world. A reminder that, even in a world full of technology, our hearts remain profoundly human.
Just silent tears for you, my son.
The door we're all waiting at. Let's talk about the title of Ernesto's song, Still Waiting at the Door. It's fictional, but the metaphor is real. We all wait at some door. Maybe it's the door of a relationship we lost, a dream we abandoned, a version of ourselves we're trying to return to. Maybe it's a door we're afraid to knock on. Maybe it's one we keep visiting, even though no one answers. Maybe it's a door that only exists in our memory. Every person who watched that video was waiting at their own door. And when Ernesto sang, he wasn't singing about AI. He was singing about us. Our longing, our guilt, our hopes, our belief that maybe, just maybe, the door might open again.
I wrote Still Waiting at the Door during one of the hardest moments in my life.
The beauty and the danger. But with beauty comes danger. Stories like Ernesto's show just how convincingly AI can replicate reality. Not just visually, but emotionally. This is powerful, and like all power, can be used with intention or with manipulation. The beauty, AI can help us tell stories we've never told before, give shape to emotions we struggle to express, create art that resonates deeply, use creativity as a form of healing, give voices to people who feel voiceless. In Ernesto's case, AI helped create a fictional story that reminded millions of their own humanity. The danger, but it can also blur the line between truth and fiction, make misinformation feel real, manipulate emotions, create trust where none should exist, exploit our empathy. And that's why stories like Ernesto matter. Not because they deceive us, but because they reveal how easily our hearts can be touched, and how careful we must be.
I'm still waiting at the door.
The real message of Ernesto. People think the message is, be careful, AI can fool you. But that's not the real message. The deeper message is this: human beings are desperate to feel seen. And when we see ourselves in a story, even a fictional one, something inside us awakens. Ernesto went viral, not because he existed, but because he represented something we miss: gentleness, vulnerability, imperfection, humility. sorrow expressed honestly, the kind of emotional truth that we rarely see in our fast, loud digital world. Ernesto reminded us of the silent battles people fight, the battles we assume aren't happening because we don't notice. He reminded us that pain doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. And he reminded us that the human heart can connect deeply, even with something made of code and pixels, because the connection doesn't happen on the screen. It happens inside you.
No word from you, no letter came.
What his story says about you. So what does this viral moment say about the rest of us? The millions who watched, cried, and shared? It says, 1. We are still capable of deep empathy. Even in a world filled with noise, our hearts remain sensitive. 2. We long for stories about healing. We want to believe that transformation is possible. 3. We value emotional honesty, even when it comes from a fictional character. For we're struggling with our own regrets. Ernesto didn't just express sadness. He expressed the sadness so many carry silently. We aren't numb. We're overwhelmed, asterisk asterisk. We don't feel less than previous generations. We feel more, but have fewer places to put it. And so, when a story opens a door into our own emotional life, we walk through it, even if the story never actually happened. Why this story matters. The message isn't, be afraid of AI. The message is, be aware of your heart. It is powerful, it is open, and it is shaped by the stories you allow inside it. Technology is neutral. Stories are tools. Emotion is real. What Ernesto teaches us is not that AI can imitate reality, but that we are deeply, beautifully human, that we feel, that we care, that we empathize, even when the face on the screen is made of algorithms.
I'm still waiting at the door.
So I want to leave you with a question. What door are you still waiting at? What regret sits quietly in your heart? What dream have you set aside? What conversation have you avoided? What version of you are you trying to return to? Ernesto may not be real, but the emotions he brought up absolutely are. And if a fictional character can help us reconnect with ourselves, with our memories, with our longing, then maybe the value of a story isn't in whether it happened, but in what it awakens. Maybe you don't need to wait at that closed door anymore. Maybe it's time to knock one last time, or to find a new door entirely. Whatever that door is for you, I hope you find the courage to open it, because unlike Ernesto, you are real, your story is real, and it's not too late to write the next chapter.
I wrote Still Waiting at the Door during one of the hardest moments in my life.
Life was hard, but I didn't mind. I had a wife and a son, and I lived for them.
No word from you, no letter came.
Thank you for watching. If Ernesto's story touched something in you, it wasn't by accident. It was your heart reminding you of something you may have forgotten. AI created the man, but you created the meaning. Take care of your heart, and take care of your story.